Okay, we are back again.
We're back? Alright. So, we apologize for the technical difficulties. Abu Dhar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, what makes his case so perplexing is that Abu Dhar radiallahu ta'ala anhu was a black Arab. So he came from the tribe of Ghifar, Jundub al-Ghifari radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and his tribe was known for being bandits. Now Abu Dhar radiallahu ta'ala anhu himself did not rob anyone, so he had good character before Islam. And he was one of the first to publicly proclaim his shahada and was beaten for that on 3 different occasions. So as I was saying, what is it that takes place? Why would Abu Dhar call Bilal Ibn Sawda? Because on the way, during the hijrah, during their migration, this argument takes place between them. And he says to Bilal, Ibn Sawda, you son of a black woman. Although his mother is black as well. And the answer to that is that he was actually addressing Bilal radiallahu ta'ala anhu's mother not being an Arab, so being an Abyssinian slave in particular. And you know, subhanAllah, you know what this makes me think of? Honestly. You know, brother Dawood Walid is on, you know, he was pointing out some of the racist word usages online and was showing, you know, was retweeting, if you will, people that were using different racist words. And one of the things that absolutely blew my mind was that some of the most racist word usages actually came from people from Africa. Some of the most demeaning remarks towards African Americans came from people from Africa. And we also find that some very demeaning remarks about people from Africa come from African Americans. What does that show you? You know, that self-hatred, unfortunately, subhanAllah, I mean, these remarks were absolutely ridiculous, that they're actual words that are used to refer to people who are black in this country. So we find that Abu Dhar made that statement towards Bilal that hurt him, because in essence he's telling Bilal, your father might be Arab, but you're still a slave. You'll always be a slave because your mother is a black lady. She's not an Arab black lady. You understand what's happening here? Now Bilal anhu was very hurt by that. When Rasulullah found out about that, Rasulullah he said to Abu Dhar, you still have within you the traits of Jahiliyyah, traces of Jahiliyyah, the days of ignorance. Abu Dhar went back to Bilal, he put his face in the ground. And this is his tawbah. He put his face in the sand. And he said to Bilal, step on my face. So subhanAllah, I mean, you're seeing the sincerity of his repentance. Oh Bilal, go ahead and step on my face. Go ahead. And of course, Bilal radiallahu ta'ala anhu showed ihsan. And Bilal radiallahu anhu came down to Abu Dhar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. He kissed his cheek. And they embraced, and subhanAllah, that was done with. But very interestingly enough, listen to this narration. This narration is from Ma'rur radiallahu anhu. Ma'rur in Sahih al-Bukhari. He says, I once saw Abu Dhar radiallahu anhu. This is after the death of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he was wearing a burd. He was wearing a burd, like a very nice mantle. And he had a servant who was wearing the exact same thing. So he said, I was confused. So he said, I said to Abu Dhar, oh Abu Dhar, you could have wore both of them, and it would have looked nicer on you, and you could have given him something else to wear. I mean, he's a prisoner of war, he's a servant. And Abu Dhar radiallahu ta'ala anhu responded, and he said to him, there was once a quarrel between me and another man whose mother was not an Arab. He doesn't mention Bilal radiallahu anhu. SubhanAllah. He's saying that there was a man that I once argued with in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and his mother was not Arab. Why? Because he's preserving the honor of Bilal radiallahu anhu. He says, and I called her bad names. I said something about his mother, and the man complained about me to the Prophet ﷺ, and Rasulullah ﷺ said to me, do you abuse so-and-so? And I said, yes. And he said, did you call his mother bad names? I said, yes. And Rasulullah ﷺ said to me, you still have traits of ignorance inside of you. And Abu Dhar responded, he said, I said to the Prophet ﷺ, Ya Rasulullah, do I still have ignorance inside of me, even in this old age? And by the way, the age difference between Abu Dhar and Bilal is significant. It doesn't matter. He's much older than Bilal. He said, yes. And Rasulullah ﷺ said, they are your brothers. He's talking about servants. He said, they are your brothers. Allah has put them under your command. So the one under whose hand Allah has put his brother should feed him the same thing he eats, should give him to wear what he wears, and should not ask him to do anything beyond his capacity. And if he asks him to do something hard, then he has to help him with it. So you see Abu Dhar radiallahu ta'ala anhu changing. He heeded that. In fact, Abu Dhar was known to purchase the freedom of slaves later on. Abu Dhar actually used to free slaves. One of the slaves that he freed, his name was John ibn Huwayd. Yahya ibn Huwayd, but his name actually stayed as John. He was a Christian slave, and subhanAllah, Abu Dhar radiallahu ta'ala anhu freed him. And this man actually died shaheed with Al-Husayn radiallahu ta'ala anhu on the day of his massacre. So that's one particular slave that Abu Dhar radiallahu ta'ala anhu freed. The next person is Zayd ibn Haritha. And inshallah ta'ala we'll take a quick break before we talk about Zayd ibn Haritha. Inshallah I'll do one more session inshallah ta'ala afterwards, and we'll take a 10-minute break right now. So we'll take a break until 3 o'clock, and we'll talk about Zayd ibn Haritha, Ayman, Ubadat ibn Samit, Usama ibn Zayd, Mihja, Ali Yasir, and then inshallah ta'ala Imam Khalid Griggs will take over inshallah ta'ala with the life of Malcolm X. So jazakallah khairan to all of you who are tuning in. Can I just make one quick announcement inshallah? You all know alhamdulillah rabbil alameen that we do all of this for free, but illah alhamd. We don't charge money because we want all of this to be accessible to everybody. And alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, it has been very successful, and all of our lectures on our Netflix have been accessible with alhamd. And these classes and these seminars are always given for free. We depend on everyone to support us, inshallah ta'ala, so everyone to make sure that these programs continue. So if you're capable of donating something, donate something. No fundraisers. You already had one last night, I don't do that in these seminars. If you're capable of doing so, do so that everyone can benefit, inshallah ta'ala, whether you're online or on site. And I want to thank ICI for hosting us, obviously, and thank ICTA Relief for sponsoring us. Jazakallah khairan. So we'll be back at 3 o'clock, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.